Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm coming at you from Miraflores in Lima, and today I thought I'd discuss the pros and cons of living in this city. So I've been here for about a month now, and I think I'm going to stay about 6 weeks in total, so I feel like that's a good amount of time. Even though I haven't done as much exploring as I would like. In the next couple of weeks I think I'm definitely going to try to see more and just make the most of my time here. But yeah, I thought this video could be helpful if you guys are thinking of coming here. Maybe you're a digital nomad and you want to base yourself like in a city for a month or two or even longer, or even if you're a student or you're just traveling. Yeah, these are the pros and cons, of course, based on my personal experience. So I arrived at the end of March, so basically here for the month of April and May. And yeah, I would say that one of the biggest pros is the weather. So it almost never rains here, and the first few weeks were really sunny, really warm, not too hot, which was nice. And now it's the beginning of May and it's getting a bit colder, but like I'm still in a t-shirt, people are in shorts, you know, it's still cool. Like you can go to the beach, maybe not swim. I think it's a little cold for swimming. I mean, you could if you wanted, but yeah, I would say February, March, definitely ideal weather, and in general it's, you know, warm temperatures, it's pretty sunny and doesn't get a lot of rain. Is that the fact that it's by the ocean, so you have the beach. Even though the beaches in the city aren't necessarily made for swimming, they're more like for surfing because the waves are really big. You have some nice beaches near the city, and generally the coastline is just stunning and beautiful, and just the sunsets are like always amazing. Another big pro is got to be the food. So I feel like Peruvian food is very well known all around the world, and of course Lima being the capital basically has all the food from around Peru and a lot of different other cuisines as well. And you can get really affordable options. There's like a menu of the day, sometimes as cheap as, you know, 10 soles, which is like maybe $3 US. You can get like a starter, main, and a drink, and yeah, the food is really good and affordable. And I feel like also me being vegan, there's a lot of good fruit that's really cheap as well, so that's amazing. Another pro for me, I feel like, is the safety, especially here in Miraflores and even Barranco, which are the main like touristy areas. I feel like it's super safe. I have heard of people, like one person that got their phone stolen, but in general, like I feel like it's very safe. And you know, I walk around at night by myself and it's like fine. The pro, I guess, is just the general low cost of living. Although I will say Lima is probably expensive for Peruvian standards, especially here in Miraflores. A lot of the restaurants are kind of more geared towards tourists, you know, maybe a bit nicer. And you're looking at, I wouldn't say like US prices, but it's definitely maybe like $10 for a dish, which is still like not super expensive, but for Peruvian standards it is quite a lot. So yeah, I would say in general the standard of living is still very cheap, and even for more expensive places I feel like the quality that you're getting, it's worth it, you know. You definitely get what you pay for. Like the places that are more expensive are usually pretty nice. Another pro is that Lima is pretty much a travel hub for Peru, and even just around South America in general. You can get buses, you know, a few hours away from Paracas, Huacachina. It's just like an hour flight from Cusco and north of Peru, and also cheap flights around South America. Like, you know, for like $100 you fly to Colombia, you fly to Ecuador, Chile. So yeah, it's a good hub as well if you want to base yourself here, maybe travel around Peru or even other places in South America. Another pro I would say is the nightlife. I'm not a big party person, but I have heard that in general I feel like in South America, in big cities, you know, there's lots of stuff going on at night, and yeah, there's definitely clubs and people like to party here. So yeah, I think it's a pro as well. Now going into the cons, I would say is I feel like the touristy areas definitely are quite expensive, especially in places like Barranco. Even here in Miraflores, if you go to a cafe, you're paying like maybe $3, $4, sometimes $5 for a coffee, which I feel like is pretty expensive, or it's, you know, not any cheaper than like New Zealand or the US or Europe. Which, if you think about, you know, how much money like the average salary here is in Peru, it's really expensive. Another con is got to be the traffic. So like it's really bad in the city, especially during rush hour. I remember when I arrived from the airport, it took me like I think like an hour to get from the airport to Miraflores, or maybe more than an hour, like almost an hour and a half, which is very long because it's like, it's not that far. So yeah, definitely a lot of traffic, and obviously around the city you'll hear, like, even now I tried to find a quiet park, but there's still a lot of background noise and people like love beeping their horns. Yeah, the drivers aren't very patient, I would say. Another con I would say is the public transport. I don't feel like it's super accessible to a tourist in general. Yeah, there's no subway. I think they have a couple of trains like around the city, but it doesn't, you know, cover all the neighborhoods. And yeah, in general people move around in buses, but yeah, they're not super accessible. Like, they don't even have doors. I've seen people just hop on, hop off. So I think it's pretty hard if you're a tourist. I'm sure you could figure it out if you really wanted to, but yeah, although that being said, like Uber and general ride-sharing taxis are pretty cheap here, so you can get around fairly easily, and I think the tourist areas are pretty walkable. Like, if you're coming here, you know, as a foreigner, you're probably going to be staying in Miraflores or Barranco, and the general neighborhood is not that big, so it's easy to get around just by foot, or, you know, just a short taxi ride. And then the last one I would say is probably just the lack of English. So obviously Spanish is the language here, and I feel like the English can be a bit limited in some places. Obviously it depends where you go. Like, if you just go to purely tourist places, like, you'll be fine. But if you want to go into, like, you know, somewhere a little bit more local, maybe in like a smaller restaurant, then they probably don't know much English. So that could be a con for some people. Although it could also be a pro if you want to improve your Spanish and learning the language is one of your goals, and obviously it's a good opportunity to practice. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Ciao!